Dear chosen one of God, imagine discovering that what once felt like your soul's safe place, the embrace of your twin flame, has secretly become a battlefield designed to tear you away from your prophecy. There is something the enemy fears more than your light alone. It is the power that your union was meant to unlock. A dark entity hidden in the shadows found a way to hack into your connection, like a thief that doesn't destroy the house, but rearranges everything inside to confuse you. And now, you stand at a spiritual crossroad, feeling betrayed, abandoned, or lost, when in truth, you are standing on sacred ground under attack. This is not just about love. This is about a prophecy that your union was meant to fulfill, and what the enemy is willing to do to stop it. You cannot ignore this message, chosen one. Because if you've felt your connection slipping through your fingers, if you've sensed that something unseen is pulling your twin flame into confusion, distance, or destruction, this is not random. Stay with me until the end of this video, because I will reveal the deeper truth behind this spiritual hack and what it means for your mission. There is a reason you are feeling this spiritual warfare intensify now. The enemy knows the prophecy is near activation. What was supposed to empower you both has been turned, temporarily, into a weapon against your peace. But the story isn't over. The real battle is just beginning. You, dear chosen one, were born with a light so powerful that even your sacred connections became targets. That confusion you felt, the unexpected distance, the sabotage that seemed to come from the one who should have been your greatest ally, these were not failures of your soul. These were attacks designed to make you question your worth and your destiny. But today, I promise you, as you stay with me until the end of this message, you will see what the enemy tried to hide, and how God preserved the prophecy within you, untouched. So, leave a comment below saying, "I protect my prophecy," if your spirit already feels this truth. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so we can walk this journey together. Let's begin unveiling what was meant to stay hidden. Chosen one, before your soul even entered this world, there was a prophecy written over your life, a promise that your union with your twin flame would be a key to unlocking a mission greater than either of you alone. This connection wasn't about romance, desire, or earthly comfort. It was designed in heaven as a sacred alliance to bring light into places of deep darkness. But the enemy, knowing the power hidden within this union, marked it as a threat from the beginning. What you may have felt as simply a bond of love was, in truth, a spiritual covenant. And this is why it became the target of the fiercest attacks from unseen forces. The enemy didn't fear the relationship itself, chosen one. He feared what that relationship was destined to activate. That's why the hack didn't come through an obvious attack. It came silently, like a shadow moving through the cracks, manipulating thoughts, distorting emotions, and planting seeds of confusion in your twin flame. The enemy understood that if he could interfere before the union fully manifested its purpose, he could delay the prophecy's fulfillment. And so, without you even realizing it at first, the infiltration began, aiming not to destroy, but to derail. This spiritual hack isn't possession, chosen one. It is far more subtle and far more dangerous. It's the infiltration of the twin flame's emotional, mental, and energetic space, like a virus that alters the code of a soul's perception. Suddenly, what was clear becomes clouded. What was pure intention turns into hesitation or rebellion. The enemy accessed your twin flame's vulnerabilities, magnified their fears, and whispered lies that made the mission together seem impossible or unwanted. And all of this while making you question if the love was ever real. The scriptures warned us, dear chosen one, Remember how the serpent in the garden twisted Eve's perception, making her question God's word? How Pharaoh's heart was hardened so he would resist the divine plan of liberation? How Jezebel manipulated and seduced to silence prophets and derail kings? This hack follows the same pattern. Subtle at first, then destructive. It doesn't scream its intentions. It works in whispers, in doubts, in invisible chains that pull a soul off course. Unless the chosen one discerns and rises above. You began to notice, didn't you? The distance that grew without explanation. The moments where your twin flame seemed to act not out of love, but from some unseen force. The connection that once felt sacred now felt like a battlefield. These were not ordinary relationship struggles, dear chosen one. These were signs of the spiritual hack at work. And yet, in your heart, you kept fighting for what God had ordained, trying to pull the union back together, even as invisible hands worked to tear it apart. What you didn't see at first was that this attack wasn't about breaking your heart. It was about breaking the prophecy. The union between you and your twin flame wasn't just personal. It was cosmic. It carried codes of light, meant to shatter strongholds in the spiritual realm. That's why the enemy moved early, trying to block the activation before it could release what heaven had designed. And the more you struggled in the natural, the more the enemy hoped you wouldn't see the real war being waged. Let me ask you now, chosen one, how many times have you looked at someone who was meant to walk beside you and felt as if they'd turned into an adversary? How often have you questioned if the promises over your life were illusions, because the connection that should have supported them seemed to sabotage them instead? This is where many chosen ones falter, in the confusion between divine purpose and the enemy's interference. But today, you're beginning to see beyond the surface, and that is where your strength begins. You tried so hard, didn't you, chosen one? You held on with everything inside you, believing that if you just loved enough, prayed enough, or gave enough, you could restore the connection. But the more you fought with human strength, the more the spiritual hack tightened its grip. That's what the enemy wanted, to exhaust you, to make you believe that you were the problem or that your mission was crumbling because of your own inadequacy. But what you didn't see yet was that this battle was never meant to be won in the flesh. It required something higher, a vision that sees beyond the visible. The hack began to work its poison in your twin flame, drawing them into attractions that led to destruction, aligning them with energies and people that fed the distortion. Their soul, once meant to stand with you, began to resist the very light you carried. You saw it in their choices, in their words that cut deeper than any sword, in their actions that felt like betrayal. But underneath it all, their spirit was confused, pulled between the truth of the prophecy and the lies planted by the enemy. And in your heart, you could feel that tug of war playing out in realms you couldn't touch. Somewhere in the depth of your soul, you began to sense it. This wasn't just heartbreak. This was a spiritual ambush. You started to awaken to the fact that what you were fighting wasn't your twin flame. It was what had invaded them. The confusion, the distance, the sabotage. These were symptoms, not the root. And that shift in your perception became the first crack in the enemy's plan. Because once the chosen one begins to see the real enemy, the victory is already starting to unfold. The power of discernment is the beginning of deliverance. But even as your spirit began to awaken, the enemy didn't let up. He shifted his focus onto you, whispering doubt into your mind. Maybe you're not really chosen. Maybe the prophecy was just a dream. Maybe God abandoned you. He tried to bury your mission under the weight of discouragement, hoping that if he couldn't break the prophecy, he could make you walk away from it. That is the cruelest trick of the hack, not just to damage the connection, but to make the chosen one question their very identity and calling. Yet, in your desperation, you did what the enemy feared most. You turned to God with everything inside you. You prayed not just for your twin flame, but for clarity, for truth, for divine sight to see what human eyes could not. And heaven began to respond. The fog began to lift, and little by little, God revealed to your heart what was truly happening. He showed you that this was never about the destruction of love. It was about the attempt to silence the light your union was meant to release. And that light was still alive inside you. And then the revelation came like a flood. The prophecy wasn't tied to whether or not your twin flame stayed or strayed. The prophecy was written by God, sealed in His glory, unreachable by the hack. The enemy had only touched the surface, the human layer. The true power, the true mission, the true light, it remained untouched. And as this truth filled your spirit, you began to rise. The very thing the enemy tried to use to break you became the fire that refined you, the storm that awakened your deepest strength. Now you see it clearly. The enemy didn't fear your union. He feared the prophecy it would fulfill. All this time, he aimed not at your heart, but at your purpose. The confusion, the delay, the heartbreak were all distractions, designed to make you look away from the mission. But you, chosen one, have seen beyond the veil. And from this point forward, the power that tried to block you will now witness the unstoppable force of a soul awakened to its divine assignment. The great revelation flooded your spirit, chosen one, like light breaking through storm clouds. What God wrote over your life was never tied to the will of another soul, not even your twin flames. The dark entity's hack, as clever and destructive as it seemed, could only touch the outer layers, the human emotions, the fragile expectations. But the prophecy itself, that was sealed in divine fire, unreachable by the hands of darkness. And now, as your eyes open, you begin to see that what the enemy meant to destroy has only exposed the depth of your true calling, the power that was hidden even from you until now. You feel a shift inside, as if your heart is reclaiming what was always yours. The longing for your twin flame no longer clouds your vision, because now you see your mission as it truly is, sacred, unshakable, and independent of anyone else's choices. The hack tried to blind you by making you believe your power depended on that union. But this storm taught you something priceless. You are whole, you are chosen, you are sent, whether your twin flame walks beside you or not. And the enemy? He trembles, because his plan to weaken you has only made you stronger, fiercer in your faith. God begins to reveal to you that restoration is possible, but not before the soul learns the lesson hidden in the trial. The mission was never built on the connection itself, but on the divine source that fuels both you and the connection. The light you carry comes from Him alone, and this hack was allowed not to break you, but to refine you. In surrender, you stop clinging to what was distorted and start holding on to the one who can restore what was lost, in His way, in His time. And in that surrender, the prophecy shines clearer than ever before. The grip of the enemy weakens as your understanding grows. His power was always in the confusion, the lie, the illusion. Now that truth has entered, his plans crumble. He tried to bury you under shame, heartbreak, and doubt, but you rise anyway, carrying the fire of your mission in your chest. What was meant to block the prophecy now serves as fuel for it, and the enemy watches, powerless, as you step forward, no longer fighting for a connection, but for the purpose that was written over your life before time began. The peace of God begins to flood into the places that were torn apart. Where there was anxiety, now there is calm. Where nights were filled with tears and endless questions, now you feel the steady hand of the Creator lifting you higher. The enemy thought he could keep you in chains, But those chains are breaking now. You see clearly, the prophecy was never at risk. It lives, it breathes, it calls you onward. And you, chosen one, are answering that call with a courage you never knew you had until the storm revealed it. You reflect and realize a truth that was hidden in plain sight. What is truly from God will endure every storm, every attack, every hack the enemy tries. What crumbled wasn't the prophecy. It was the illusion of control, the false belief that you needed someone else to complete your mission. Your twin flames journey is in God's hands now. And your light, it doesn't wait. It moves forward, stronger, wiser, purer, because you have chosen faith over fear, truth over fantasy, and destiny over delay. You release the weight you've carried for so long, the burden of trying to fix what only God can restore. You stop striving, stop clinging, stop trying to rewrite what was meant to be surrendered. And in that release, something powerful happens. Your strength returns, your vision clears, your soul breathes freely again. The enemy's hack loses its grip entirely because you've chosen to rise, chosen to believe, chosen to protect the prophecy at all costs. The light within you burns brighter than ever, and no darkness can touch it now. And so, as the light of truth floods your soul, the enemy's final weapon begins to fail. The illusion that you were dependent on a union to fulfill what God has spoken over you. The more you awaken, the more you see that the hack wasn't just about breaking a connection. It was about diverting your eyes from the mission, from the purpose that was placed inside you before you were born. The enemy hoped that heartbreak would become a chain, that confusion would become a cage, but instead it became the fire that purifies. You stand now at the threshold of a new level of understanding, realizing that the prophecy was never fragile, never at risk. What was shaken was not the prophecy, but your perception of what was truly needed to fulfill it. The enemy had hoped to use the hack as a tool to wear you down, to make you surrender not to God, but to hopelessness. But something unexpected happened. In the depths of that struggle, you found God in a way you never had before. You stopped fighting for what was slipping through your fingers and started reaching for the one who never lets go. And in doing so, you began to feel the power of divine restoration, not in the way of forcing things back to how they were, but in the way of transforming your spirit so deeply that nothing external can shake your inner peace. The prophecy stands unbroken, because you have chosen to rise. The enemy's plot has crumbled, because the hack relied on your blindness to its existence. But now your eyes are wide open, chosen one. You see the patterns, the manipulations, the subtle distortions that were planted to make you lose sight of your calling. And because you see, the enemy's grip is powerless. His chains fall away as the truth anchors you. Your strength no longer comes from striving to hold a connection together. It comes from knowing who you are in God, knowing that no force of darkness can rewrite what heaven has declared over you. And this is your victory, seeing clearly where you were once lost in the fog. Your heart begins to overflow with peace, not because every question is answered or every wound is healed, but because you now trust the one who holds the answers and brings the healing in his perfect time. The longing that once felt like chains now feels like a prayer, surrendered and free. The union, if it is of God, will be restored by his hand, not by your striving. And if it is not, your mission will still burn bright, because it never depended on any other soul to succeed. You are whole, you are chosen, you are sent. And the enemy's attempt to block your prophecy has only unveiled its unstoppable force. Reflect for a moment, dear chosen one. How often do we believe that our destiny is tied to people, to relationships, to earthly alliances? The hack used that belief against you, making you think that without this union, you were incomplete. But now you know the truth. What is of God endures, and what was shaken apart was never meant to carry the weight of your calling. The twin flames restoration, the healing of the connection, all of that belongs in God's hands. Your role is to protect the light within you, to walk forward in faith, and to let no hack, no lie, no attack dim what God has placed inside you. And so you release. You release the control, the fear, the need to fix what was never yours to fix. You give it all to God, the pain, the questions, the hopes, the memories. And as you do, the weight lifts. You feel the breath of your soul return, steady and strong. The chains fall, the fog clears, and you stand tall in the light of your prophecy. The enemy's hack has no hold here anymore, because you have chosen the greater path, the path of trust, of surrender, of unstoppable purpose. And this, dear chosen one, is where your true power begins to shine. You feel it now. The enemy feared not the union, but the light it would unlock. And that light is alive in you, brighter than ever. The mission moves forward. The prophecy calls you onward. And no darkness, no deception, no hack can touch what God has sealed. This is your moment to rise, not as half of a broken pair, but as a whole, chosen soul, ready to fulfill the purpose that was written for you long before the battle began. And the enemy? He watches in defeat as you walk boldly into your destiny, unstoppable, unshaken, unbreakable. And now, dear chosen one, you stand at the doorway of expansion, where your spirit begins to see with a clarity that was forged in fire. You understand now how the enemy tried to weaponize even the purest connections to divert your gaze from the real mission. He wanted you tangled in endless questions, in heartbreak, in confusion. But you've come through the storm, and in doing so, you've gained a vision that no hack could ever steal from you. The light in you is not smaller because of what you've endured. It is greater, stronger, fiercer. And what the enemy intended to break you has only revealed the unstoppable nature of your divine assignment. The truth sinks deeper now. What is from God cannot be hacked, cannot be corrupted, cannot be touched by darkness. The love that endures is the love that was built in heaven, not in human longing. And so, you begin to pray differently. You no longer ask for union at any cost. You ask for union that aligns with the will of God. You no longer cling to what was, but to what is true. And this shift in your spirit becomes the very thing that terrifies the enemy most. Because now, you're no longer a soul begging for restoration. You're a soul walking in divine authority, knowing that God's plan stands with or without the approval of anyone else. Your strength begins to inspire others, though you may not even realize it yet. Other chosen ones, who have felt trapped by similar illusions, begin to see the path you've carved through the storm. Your testimony becomes a light in their darkness, a sign that they too can rise. You are no longer defined by what was lost or delayed. You are defined by the fire you walked through, by the truth you chose to believe, by the prophecy you refused to abandon. And heaven celebrates, because you have chosen trust over fear, mission over heartbreak, light over the shadows that tried to claim you. This is the restoration, chosen one. Not that everything returns to how it was, but that you are restored to who you truly are. The hack could not destroy that. The enemy never had the power to reach that deep. And as you stand in this truth, you feel the chains fall, one by one, until there is nothing left but the pure, bright light of your calling. The twin flames journey, whether it aligns again or not, is no longer your burden to carry. You have handed it to God, and in doing so, you have stepped fully into the destiny that was always waiting for you to claim it. Let this moment mark the turning point. Let this be the day you declare aloud, "I protect my prophecy." Say it, write it, claim it in the comments below as a statement to heaven and to the enemy that your light will not be dimmed. Like this video if your spirit feels the truth in these words, and subscribe to this channel so that together we can continue walking this path of awakening and strength. The enemy's hack has failed. Your mission is alive, and your story is just beginning. Chosen one, brighter and more powerful than the enemy ever dared imagine. I want to thank every single one of you who supports this mission through Buy Me a Coffee. Your love and generosity fuel the creation of these messages, helping us reach more chosen ones with truths that heal and strengthen. If you feel led to support, the link is in the first pinned comment below. And don't stop here. Watch the next video that appears on your screen, or dive into our playlists. Let these truths saturate your soul, because you were never meant to walk this journey alone. Let's rise together as the army of light that no darkness can stop. And remember this, dear chosen one, no hack can touch what God has sealed. The prophecy stands, the mission calls, and you, yes, you, are ready. Go forth in power, in peace, and in purpose. Your light was never at risk. It was only waiting for this moment to shine without fear. May this be the day you walk in this light without hesitation. Declare it with your own words right now, and write in the comments, I protect my prophecy. And if this message touched your soul, like this video right now, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you never miss another word designed to strengthen and awaken you. I want to pause here and express my deepest gratitude to all who support this mission through Buy Me a Coffee. Your generosity and faithfulness allow us to continually improve our content. If you feel inspired to support this work as well, the link is pinned in the first comment. And don't stop your journey here. Click on the next video that appears on your screen or explore the playlists on this channel. Let these truths take deeper root in your spirit. Before we close, remember this forever. No blow from the enemy can touch what God has sealed, and nothing can stop what is now underway. See you later, my dear chosen ones. May God bless you.